talk about Golden Grey, and we can promote that to start with, and then we can kind of start talk about the footy stuff. But Craig, if all the mics and that are good to go, then I'm good to get it going. Cool. I've got this here as well. Don't be afraid to have a drink in that when you're doing it too. And I mean, if you want to swear on that, that's cool with me. Don't know about your position, but that's cool with me. If you guys working with kids and that, but sounds. We'll get it going then. Here with David Gold and Ross Gray, who run Golden Grey Coaching Academy. Appreciate you guys coming to do this with me. I'm excited to do this. Kind of talk about you guys building the coaching business and also just kind of like Scottish footy. So thanks for coming, boys. I do appreciate it, man.
No problem.
Looking forward to it. I guess we'll start with the Golden Grey stuff. Like, how did it come about with you two? Because obviously you're both are players. So how did it come about that like it all kind of started?
It was 8 years ago now.
8 years ago.
Just over 8 years ago. So I had started doing coaching for someone else. It was good. I really enjoyed it. To be fair, we both had similar stories in the sense that we both had full-time jobs,
Right.
but we're playing part-time. I think it's fair to say, especially on my front anyway, I didn't particularly enjoy any of them, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
And I don't think you were enjoying
Oh,
things either, were you?
I was miserable. I'd just quit my job. I'd packed it in.
Okay. What we did?
So my uncle owns a farm over in Northern Ireland, and they actually sell into Tesco's and stuff like that. So
shit.
I was actually doing sampling in stores. So I was standing in Tesco from 9 till 3, heating up mashed potatoes, handing them out.
Holy shit. That's different than football.
Completely different. But I'd done my B licence when I was about 23.
Yeah.
And I was doing wee bits and pieces of coaching as well. So, but I got to a stage I just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Mental health went down the drain. So I thought, right, I'm packing it in. I was doing nothing. I was just playing football. So David had said, look, come and help me on a Friday night. If you want. We just played at Berwick that season together part-time. So I says, yeah, I'll give it a go. And I think a couple of kids has asked, look, can you just put on a camp for us in the summer?
Right.
And we says, right, do you know what, we'll see where we can find. And Goldie's obviously an Idri boy, so we messaged. There was a fantastic manager up there, Jamie, who really helped us out. And he says, look, you can use the field at Jack Kane. I've got a couple of old goals there. Cause I mean, we had no equipment. We had footballs, that was about it. I think the grass was probably up to about knee height. A bag of balls, and we had 20 kids. And it's just sort of snowballed from there, really.
What made you, like, so were you doing the coaching first before he was?
Aye, but I was doing it for like someone else.
Ah, right, okay.
So I was part of like, I was basically like looking for something that would actually make me happy. And
yeah.
So I had seen this thing on Facebook, and I had reached out to them. It turns out people knew who I was. So it was like, you'd be perfect for this. I was overthinking the whole criteria for the job, and I was like, I think I've got that. I gave them a message, and they were like, come along, you'd be perfect for the job. So I went along, happened to know one of the persons, so it was like one of the people, it was like a partnership. It didn't go too well. Like, they had loads of kids, and the coaching was fantastic, but I was basically there just to help with the kids to coach ratio, which suited me at that time because I couldn't really coach, to be honest with you. I was just putting on what I knew. But I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. And then whatever happened between the partnership.
Yeah.
But I had built up a relationship with 5 or 6 of the kids at that point, but I had no equipment, no nothing. So I knew Ross was into coaching. So I said, Ross, look, do you want to come along and help out?
Yeah.
And to be fair, it was a godsend for me because he had loads more knowledge and experience coaching with kids than what I did. A lot of the stuff, as I said to you, I was doing what I knew. I could speak to the kids, but I didn't really have too much to play with, to be honest with you.
Because it's different, obviously, when you're playing and with adults, right? And then you go to like coaching little kids, and you're trying to. And were the kids quite young as well to start with, or was it a bit of a mix?
It was such a mixed bag. Like, that's where our Golden Grey is open to everyone, like all abilities.
Yeah.
And at that point, now we're a decent size and we can go and suit the classes to what we want. But back then, it was a case of you got like 6 kids. I remember one being 5-year-old. They didn't play for a team or anything like that. And then there was 3 kids who were all the same age. They were 2006 born kids, so I think they're like 19s now.
Yeah.
But those 3 could all play. They were all good. But then they're playing with like this young lad but they were great with him. They were really, really good. But trying to put a drill on, that's where I found it quite difficult because I'm trying to put a drill on for from what I know. But the abilities were all completely different.
Yeah.
But that's just exactly how we started.
That's
and
cool.
Ross coming in, he had a couple of different wee mechanisms and exercises that he would go and use to go and get the best out the group. It was good. It worked.
Yeah, because it's like, it's mental. You think you'd be able to just like show up and like, if you played football or whatever, like you have an idea and put a session on. It's not like that at all, is it? Like, you've got to be like, right, like you just said, one kid's maybe not as good as the rest of the kids. How do we like incorporate him, but also without like making all the kids that are good feel like, what the hell's the point of being here? Do you know what I mean? That's definitely the difficult part. So that's decent. And then, so like, how did you get into then kind of moving forwards with like going through the process of like finding equipment, finding pitches? Like, how did all that work?
To be honest, I'd love to say that at the start we had a business plan. Here's a 5-year plan. This is what we're going to do. This is what we need to do. But we just sort of, opportunities would come. We started, some of the kids for the camp asked for Friday night sessions, so we thought, right, we'll put Friday night sessions on. We can do 1-to-1s. We then got a school job, so I was working in the schools in the local area, and that was probably when it really sort of kicked off and started to become a business rather than just me and him putting on sessions.
Yeah. So that was when you guys probably realised you could actually do this instead of doing the other shit.
And I say he was still working for Edinburgh Leisure at the time, so it might have been that he was doing shifts 4 till 8 in the morning, and then, as I say, we were both playing part-time, so to be fair, I was on more money part-time than I was full-time. Okay. So for me, I could have that sort of luxury of just training at night and coaching wee bits and pieces during the day.
Yeah. So when you say you're on more money part-time than full-time, do you mean like playing or like for your job?
Playing.
Yeah.
So I was earning more playing part-time than what I was when I was playing full-time.
Holy shit. I'm baffled. Like, how does that work? Yeah. Like, does it just depend on the club and what money they've got at what level? Or
I think so. Obviously, I was at Livingston at the time, so they were in.
Yeah.
They had went into administration and worked their way back up through the leagues, and I think they were in Championship. So I think my first year at 19s was £65 a week. So I think it worked at like £260 a month once they worked it out. So,
right, okay, yeah.
But it was amazing. Like, I wouldn't have changed that. And then you get a first year sort of, this is the offer we're going to give you. Stayed at that for 2 years. But then there's sometimes, depending on who you're at, there's more money in the lower leagues if you go part-time and have a job rather than playing full-time. Yeah,
it's mental. And when you were at Livy, was that like... when they went to administration, was that around did they have to start focusing on the youth system? Was that around the time they started bringing through like all those kind of...
Yep, so I came just probably at the back end of that.
Okay, right.
I came just sort of after that had happened. And to be fair, no, they stayed full time and they had a lot of first team boys, which is why they went up the league so quickly. But we had a strong group of 19s players, and a lot of them have went on to play for a lot of clubs, but I wouldn't say it was fully focused on youth. But they brought in Brian Welsh, who was my coach, who was fantastic, and he really helped a lot of young boys get into that first team.
Class, decent. And without, obviously, don't need to tell me a number, but was there, or has there been a point where you have got, like, where you started earning more money from the Golden Grey than you both were getting from playing?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Which is mental to think that, like, you are playing, you're like League One, obviously, at the moment, obviously being at Livy and stuff like that. It's mental to think that, like, you can't get paid like a wage that's better than what you're doing now. It's nuts.
It's difficult. It's obviously the clubs haven't got a lot of money. There's not a lot of fans going every week, so there's no much place for that money to come from. So they pay you what they can afford to pay you.
I know we're kind of dotting about here, just because we're on the leagues, but like what do you? Is that just purely, do you think, because Rangers and Celtic, and maybe then you take like Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeen maybe after that? Like, do you think it's just purely because the following is really there for them, and then the rest of the clubs just don't have that? Because like kids are growing up supporting the teams that are winning essentially, right, rather than a team that's maybe essentially coming like 8th in the league every year. Do you know what I mean?
Arguably.
Yeah.
Arguably. My club do all right, to be fair.
Okay, cool.
Speaking on that front.
Yeah.
But we've also got like a very, very passionate team.
Yeah.
Ross and that will tell you, like, see when we go up to, we do some football camps and that in the school holidays up in Arbroath. And like there's we'll maybe have 50 kids there, and 40 of them have Arbroath strips on.
Right, okay, sweet.
Yeah, I mean, so like
aye.
It's a dead passionate town, and it's a community, like they all rally around and they all fight for one another. So we do all right, but I would like to see more of that from. It might happen. I might just be blind to it. I don't know, but all these other towns and villages and whatever these smaller clubs, they could do with that support.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think it will change because obviously you guys are doing this, and there's a few other people that do similar stuff, right? And some of those guys I know that are trying to coach at levels like not quite, maybe not like the Lowland League, but like your Musselburghs or like Haddingtons and stuff like that. But like younger boys that are like 30, or say younger boys like 30 years old, our age, they're trying to get into that and like want to be coaches. And I think like being able to do this stuff allows them to earn a wage while they can focus on doing that, because without that, they have to go work a job that's full time, and then all of a sudden you've not got the energy for it, or you don't have the time to do it. So like I reckon because of this, you'll start getting better coaches, and they're gonna have to start at lower levels, right? To like then pull people in and start to do better, because I think that's a big problem a little bit with Scotland. From what I see from the outside in, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but like a lot of the kind of like the same guys kind of get the same jobs and kind of like float around a lot of the same teams or whatever, or they've played, which is nothing wrong with that, right? Like I've not played at all, but as you have probably found out, like coaching and playing are two completely different things. You know what I mean?
Oh, they are, they are. But I would agree with that to a point where it has been a lot of the same people getting the same jobs, but now it's quite encouraging. Where you've got, for example, me and Colin are now co-managers, player managers at Arbroath, but then you've also got like Reece, you've got Chris Doolan, you've got the boys at Peterhead as well. So I think it's becoming increasingly popular. I think it's one of those things where it's like, who's brave enough to go and take the risk, if you like, because it is a bit of risk, but it's also a risk to us younger coaches. You know what I mean? Or as players, if you're still a player, it's also a risk. But I think because guys like those that I've just mentioned have actually done well, there's other people buying into that now.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. I think it's going to change. How do you find being a player and a manager? Like, how do you find that balance?
Tough, really tough. I think I'm getting better now at it.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
How long have you been mixing it?
7 weeks.
7 weeks. Okay, so it's new. Yeah.
It's really new.
Yeah.
I've had 7 games in. It's trying to balance the whole work-life balance. That's massive. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
Something that I usually struggle with on a day-to-day. Anyway, is try to find that right balance between work and life. Usually when I'm involved in something, I'm 100% and I'm so deep into it, and I cause my own problems. So try to have that and run gold and grey as well. But also try and look after myself as a player. First 5 weeks was really tough.
I can imagine.
Because all of a sudden I'm not playing myself. So, as I said to you, like if I would like to think of myself as like a really good professional. So I'll go and do everything right away from the pitch. So because I'm not playing myself, I then have to go and do running on a Sunday and a Monday before I go to training on a Tuesday, which is mere time, mere recovery. It's been tough, but I think I'm getting there now. I'm always learning. The kind of guy I am as well. I'm not afraid to reach out for help.
Good.
So, I'll pick up the phone to anyone I think might be of benefit, and I listen.
Good, that's good. And do you think now that you've been I mean, it's so early, 7 weeks, but do you think that's maybe like an avenue you'd want to go down, like moving forwards, like being a manager?
It's something I've always spoke about.
Right.
It's something I've always wanted to go and do. This year, actually, I made a conscious effort for this season, before this happened, I had this plan, this goal in my head to go and reach out to all these younger managers we're talking about.
Yeah.
And just say, listen, can I come in for like study visits? And just prep me for when the time came. And then I've just been through upon it, so I've not actually had time to go and do all that stuff I said.
Yeah. Been chucked right into it.
Exactly.
That's class. Yeah, because you said something, actually, I watched your interview, you said something really different yesterday. You see the game differently from the side sometimes, and the player feels it when they're playing. And I just thought that was really interesting. And again, like the difference between being the player and the manager, right? Like probably all been there where the manager's doing something and you're all on the pitch like, don't think that's right, and it maybe turns out to be right, or sometimes it turns out to be wrong. But just thought that was an interesting point that you made about. I think you said you jogged over to the other boys that you're coaching with and said, "This is how I'm feeling. Like, am I right?" And I think they were like, "Aye, you are right. Like, that's what we're gonna do." I don't know if you remember specifically what that was.
I do. No, not that exact moment.
Yeah.
I remember saying that because the way I'm managing it is like everybody's got a voice. So the way I want to do it is pure open and honest, and everyone's going to be transparent. So I'll say something, whether it's negative or positive, and you might not necessarily agree with it, but come and tell me why you don't agree with it.
Yeah.
If you don't agree with it, and tell me why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm saying to you. It feels different as a player. So I'll go and play the game that I started yesterday for the first time. And I overthink quite a lot of things. So the game's going a certain type of way, and I'm doing a particular. So I'm. The idea that I was involved in front of the back three for a bit of experience to give a bit solidity to the shape. But at times I felt like, yeah, nothing was coming through us. I was probably doing my job there, but could I go and do more? Because I felt like at times I was just doing nothing.
Yeah.
So I had to go and discuss that with them, saying like, look, this is working obviously because nothing's coming through there. However, can I go and do X, Y, or Z to go and be more on the front foot? Or...
Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's a good balance. Like, I never played at your guys' level at all. Like, I knew at like 15, I just played for North Berwick. Like, and I knew about 15, like, I'm not going anywhere with this, right? But I wanted to be in football, so I was like, I'm going to start coaching. So I started coaching at 16, just like volunteering and stuff. And I was like, yeah, this suits me better. I mean, I can see the game relatively well. You know, I can, in my head, I can do things on the pitch, but my body's like, nah, I'm not doing that. So, it's a completely different way. How do you feel with it, Ross? Like, do you do coaching at Tranent as well?
Yeah, so obviously the manager at Tranent had got sacked a couple of games in, and they asked Johnny Stewart, who I'd played with at Bonnyrigg for 7 years, to take over for a couple of weeks. And there was no one else there. He was assistant manager, so he said, can you come in and help me for a couple of weeks? So I went and done that, and I'd always been different. Like we'd always discussed, I'd never wanted to go down that line.
Yeah.
It was never something. I'd went and done my licence, but it was never something that I seen myself doing. But he asked me to come in and help, and I quite enjoyed it. So he got given the job, and he said, do you want to come in as first team coach? But obviously I'm still heavily playing as well, so it's a wee bit different. He's took a step back and he does it from the side, but I think definitely you see things differently from the side of the pitch, that what you do when you're in the game and you're focusing on what you're doing yourself, and then try to worry about what all the other players are doing at the same time. So I think it's definitely probably a good decision to, if you can, play less. Obviously it's different if your team needs you, like Arbroath did at the weekend, but I think Johnny's took a step back and he's found it easier managing from the side than being on the pitch at the same time.
That's cool. And would you say like the hardest part of that, because you're playing, so like your teammates, so is it just managing those relationships? So like basically your teammates and your pals, and then but you're also kind of the guy that's telling them what they're doing or what they're. I mean, I guess you kind of do that as a player anyway.
Yeah.
If someone's playing shite, you're going to tell them they're playing shite if you're that type of person. Yeah. But is that probably like the hardest part? You found maybe like just that relationship, or no?
No, actually.
Oh, really?
No, I didn't find. Yeah. I didn't find that tough, to be honest. We do that in our day-to-day lives. We manage loads of people. Do you know what I mean? We've done that for 8 years, so that I didn't find too difficult, to be honest.
Oh, good.
It's keeping on top of myself. I get so emotionally invested as a coach, as a manager, and so when I'm delivering training and I want things done a certain way, he'll tell you the way I coach. I can be quite intense, but then sometimes I forget that I'm actually still involved in the drill or the exercise.
Yeah.
And I've got the boys there saying like, Goldie, it's your turn. It's your turn.
I've had the exact same thing. It's hard because you're doing passing drills and you're trying to focus on what everyone else is doing, but you're still in it and you're actually looking at someone else when the ball's coming to your feet. But for me, it's more difficult. I'm obviously still in the players' dressing room. So it's just sort of finding that balance. And obviously at Tranent, my wee brother who manages for us at Golden Grey, and Baldy who manages for us at Golden Grey, are also in that dressing room as well. So it's just trying to balance things and make sure you do things right.
Yeah, well, that's good. That seems like it's a good core group there then you've got at Tranent. And then how do you find it, like going from, Arbroath at the weekend, Tranent at the weekend, that kind of level of intensity, then during the week coming back to maybe coaching schools or kids or camps? Like, how do you find like that change?
I think you've started to notice that.
I actually just mentioned that on Friday.
Yeah.
I've got like a proper passion for what we do, like, so that makes the job so much easier. However, I'm finding it difficult coming from that. Like we train on a Tuesday and Thursday, and and you're training with men who are competing, and it's like, you know what I mean, there's money on the line, there's jobs at stake, there's, you know what I mean, there's all this sort of stuff, and then the next thing day you're coaching 7-year-olds that are learning the game and are there just to love the game. So it's a completely different approach that you've got to go and take. And sometimes I felt I'm very lucky. I've got really good relationships with the kids that come with me. But there's times I've been like I've got to like snap back into this, like what's going on here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just going from one extreme to another.
Just putting a different hat on.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, absolutely. You're right. I found that too, even just with like coaching a club team to then going to the one-on-ones, and then I also coached like a high school team at the time too, which was just like that was a bit more like just like winning games. Like during a season, you've got a league, whereas like the kids is a bit more like developing them. And you're right, you're just putting like different hats on depending on what you're doing, and it's just trying to find out how to work it out. I like your guys for the Golden Grey stuff. I really like the social media content stuff too. Like, you know, when you're doing the sessions and it kind of like pans out and you're talking about like attacking and defending and it shows up, like it's really good. And like I can tell through the social media what you said about like being really into it and being passionate. Like I could tell that yous were all, you know, you're into it. You want to make sure the kids are good. You like doing football. You want to help the kids grow and be better. Because I'm sure you see it and I've seen it a lot too. And I'm not trying to like, I'm not gonna call anyone out. I'm not coached here, but like I've seen it in the States. Like folk are doing it and they're throwing out all these big words and they're saying all this, and I'm like, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're not really into it, and like you're really just doing it for the cash, and that's a part of it, right? Because everyone's got to live and grow, but you're not fully into it. So I could totally see that through the social media stuff that you guys do. It's good, like it is really good. How have you found like running? I mean, is it become? Because you are 8 years in, so you are early on that, like over here.
Yeah.
Have you seen it really start to grow with a lot of other people doing that type of stuff as well in that time? Aye.
Yeah, there's loads. They're everywhere now, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. People can see the passion. People like that sort of thing that you can't get beat on that.
No.
You know what I mean? Like you can't take that away from anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you've got a proper passion in anything that you do, you got to go and follow it.
Yeah.
Because that'll shine through always. I do genuinely believe that. But no, I think it's good that there's more and more popping up. Because it's just providing opportunities for loads of other kids.
Aye.
You know what I mean, opportunities that we never had when you went to Coolver.
I went to Coolver when I was younger.
Aye.
And then I done a wee bit of work with them, so I thought it was great.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought we could do something.
Yeah, because that was really.
Yeah.
Are you? I think are we? Are you? I'm 31.
I'm 31 now.
You're 31.
Yeah, I'm 32.
You're 32, so we're
Yeah.
all the same age. So I was the same. Like growing up, the only thing that was at all like that, like you said, was
but there was no one-to-one sessions. There was nothing like that.
No.
But I think going back to sort of the passion thing, obviously, we'd all done jobs that we hated.
Mm-hmm.
So when you got an opportunity to coach kids as your actual job, I think it's easier to be passionate about it rather than you just need to quickly remember what you were doing 8 years ago, and you can find a passion pretty quickly.
Aye, that's so true, man. It's the same with me with this. And again, one of the reasons I picked you guys is I was like, okay, you guys look into it. The passion's there. Obviously, I've done it, but it's the same with me here. Like, I have to pick people that I actually I'm interested to come and talk to, because I've had pals that are like, you could have this person on, my friend does this, or people send me things and I appreciate it. But I'm looking at it and I'm like, I'm just not into that. Like, I'm going to sit here and fake it, and you're going to be able to tell I'm faking it.
But people will tell that with everything, I think.
Exactly, yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just put an act on. Let's not forget, it's actually a release for us as well.
Yeah.
Like, see, when I go into the school, I've started doing, my timetables changed slightly because I now need to do a wee bit more for the club, and I have to turn up a wee bit earlier for training, so I can't do it. So I've had to go back into the schools and do that sort of stuff.
Mm.
And it's honestly up there with the best hours of the week.
Class.
It's incredible. It's so funny. The kids are amazing. I just love it. I get to just like switch off and just be one of them again. It's amazing.
It's class. Yeah, no, it's good, man. It's really good. Like you said, the passion is absolutely what's there, and that's, as you said. I mean, even being like footy players, right? When you're on the pitch, you can tell when someone's not into it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they've not put their full into the tackle, or they're not putting the running in, or they're not sprinting when you want them to press. Like you can see that. So I think, like, I know that's probably something you can see in any walk of life, but it's good in sport and a team sport. You can really see when someone's not got that in them, and you're kind of like, if you have that in you, you're kind of like, what are you doing, right? Like, come on. So that's hugely important, absolutely. And then what about like running the camps and stuff, like how have you found like growing that? Because that's I know that's kind of like the big thing, in the summers and the school holidays. Like how's that kind of growing from the start to now?
We were quite lucky actually. Way back at the start, when we first started it, we had, as we had mentioned before, the 5 or 6 kids. Went and put one on in Nidre. I think we ended up with like 32 kids over the course of the week. And then we were doing some private sessions, and we were doing private sessions for a kid who played for Edinburgh South. And that really kicked us off.
Okay.
Because the kid's dad was a coach. And he was heavily involved, and the kids' football was something that he was really passionate about, and how could he go and help and improve that, and help and improve the parent coaches that were there and things like that. So he had a good head on his shoulders. He asked if we could go and do stuff, and we went there, and I think we had 55 kids.
Right.
So the numbers are huge. And it snowballed for there. What happens is, as soon as you start building relationships and doing things good, they would go to the Edinburgh South camps, but then they'd also come to our camps, and then your classes on a Friday would build and things like that. So we got it to a point where there was numbers that we could then manage, and then we could accommodate kids into what group that we thought was best for them at that stage of their development.
I'm with you.
Whereas, like at the start, when we're talking about that 5-year-old, and I can't remember what age they are, maybe 9-year-old, which is quite a big range. The camps can be really tough. Might not be as fun as you want it to be. You might not be delivering the quality that you want to deliver, purely because the ability is so diverse.
Yeah, I remember going through all that. Like you're like you got 10 kids there, and everyone's just different ages, different levels, and you're like, how are we doing 5 hours here?
Exactly
kids,
that.
Right? Like how am I going to get
exactly
to 5
that.
hours? And then it's hard because I mind just times like the good kids' parents would be like, oh, like he said he's not really like getting much, and you're like, yeah, okay, maybe that was a bit too tailored to the other kids, and then you go the other way, and then the kids that aren't very good, and you're like, Jesus, and then as you say, you grow, and then you start to get the numbers, and then you start to say, right, finally, these boys should be together, or girls, right, or these boys and girls should be together, and then you can really start making the camps like beneficial really for everybody. And it's long days, like I'm sure you guys know. It's a lot because like it's a lot of energy. It's a long day, and you're there and you're looking after the kids, and like you're having to deal with maybe some kids are a bit shy and timid, or like all that.
We changed the times.
Okay.
We changed the times to about lesser times
during COVID, wasn't it? When they brought back whatever rules they brought back,
that
you could only do 10 till 1.
Yep.
And we actually found that you were getting more out of the kids in that 3-hour period than you were having them there all day in the afternoons. They're not want to join in, and they're bored and they're tired. So we actually thought we were getting more value out of having them there for that 3 hours and coaching them properly.
That's way better.
Well, one thing I'd always said at the start was that I'll do this because I'm passionate about it, because I want to go and do it, but I'm not a babysitter either.
Yeah.
I think that's totally fair. Like, I'll create an environment, and we will create an environment where everybody is welcome. All abilities are welcome, and we'll try and help you. But you need to want to be there. Yeah. Like, no one's getting dropped off that doesn't want to be there, and if they do, they'll just get a phone call to say, just come and get them.
Yeah.
Like, I was dead set on with that.
That's good.
And what I think is when it's like 10 to 3s, and listen, parents need to work.
Yeah.
They do need to work. So if you've got someone doing a camp like 10 till 3, or someone doing 10 till 1, the 10 till 3 is easier for you for your working life. But the kid doesn't necessarily want to be there.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Which is then so tough for the other kids and that kid, but the coaches as well. So I just think the 10 till 1 works.
Absolutely.
So much better.
I think that's great. And I totally agree with that. And if that's what you're wanting, just set that still out from the beginning, right? Like I'm not here to. Everyone's welcome, but if like the kid's showing up and I'm not really wanting to be here, it's not the right place for him, right? You can go find someone else.
Well, it comes back to that whole question and the other statement I just said about having that passion. Like the amount of kids that have come in who aren't really interested to start with, maybe early on. My nephew's a prime example. Was not interested one bit. Wouldn't get involved, but then goes into primary school. Yeah. And then finds out like all his pals are playing at like break and lunch, and then all of a sudden they're developing that love for the game and they want to get involved, and now they've got that passion. and then when they come back, then that's when they're ready, I think.
Absolutely. There was nothing worse when you had those kids getting dropped off for those. And we were probably 9 till 3, I think. About that, like you guys are saying, and the kid gets dropped off, and he just is not. He's being dropped off for babysit,
Yeah.
and then you're just like, I felt for the kids, you know what I mean? And obviously out there it's 90 degrees Fahrenheit plus in the summer. You're on AstroTurf. You're like, you got to deal with this kid. Like it's a long day, and you're absolutely spot on with that. Like, and we started to do that. We started to have specific camps where it was like level kind of entry. Do you know what I mean? Like you had to be at a specific level maybe to like come to this camp specifically in like Santa Cruz or whatever. And I loved those. Like I said to you guys, I was starting to really struggle with a passion.
Yep.
So then looking after the kids that don't want to be there, I'm like, I don't really want to be here either towards the end, right?
That's big for you though, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like recognising that, I think that's fair. I think loads more people should be, because you can see it a million miles away.
Absolutely.
You can see it in somebody's coaching, like their whole body language, their demeanour, like the way they're speaking to people. I'm quite big on that sort of stuff, so I can see it a million miles away. Somebody's no want to be there.
I remember the last 2 weeks I had just coaching the club stuff, and I felt really bad, because I was like, I'm done, I've checked out here. But you want to be fair and like give the team and the club I was at, I think I said like a month, kind of month notice type thing. I didn't have to do that, but I was like, I'm gonna do another month, and I'm like, I'm done. And that last 2 weeks, and I had team and kids that I loved coaching, and the parents are great, and I coached them for 2 years. And I remember those 2 weeks being at the field, those hour and a half sessions were fucking long, like, and I honestly felt like you'd be better just letting one of the dads do this at this point in time, because I'm not here, like I'm not here at all. And that was when I was like, shit, what am I gonna do? And like I said, then I went through the camps, and you had those kids coming in. The entry level camps, I enjoyed it more because the folk wanted to be there, so I could be like, right, okay, like I can get by here with like, I wasn't totally out of it, still liked it, but I just didn't have enough to deal with that aspect of it anymore. And like you say, you can see it a million miles off when folk are like that. And then what about, speaking about the camps, like what about the US stuff? Like I know we kind of spoke before David got here about all that. Like how did you guys get there, like originally in the US?
So my friend from school, he moved out to America and was doing the same. He was coaching over there, but he would only get sort of 9-month visas.
Right.
So he'd come back over the winter period,
I remember that,
and he would ask us, is there any coaching that I can get involved in while I'm over here? So he used to do that for a couple of years, and then he moved out and got married.
Okay.
Had a wee one, got his green card. So he was like, look, I'm moving over there full time. I'm working in clubs out there, but I think I could run what yous are doing over here. And we says, look, why not? We'll give it a go and see what happens. So he was doing classes and camps, wasn't he? And it was going all right. And then we started to notice, as I said to you, that our part-time staff were disappearing for the summer, and they were going out to obviously join your cousin. So I thought, you know what, I'll chance my arm here, and I'll text them and say, look, is there any way that you can put us in touch with the guys at Nike and see if we're looking for any other partners? And to be fair to him, 2 weeks later he had set up a Zoom call with 2 of the guys at Nike, and we said, aye, let's go for it next summer.
Class. And have you two got out and done any like stuff out there so far? Yeah.
Yep, you've been out twice, and I went out that summer there.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting. There's obviously, I think there was 60 there the first year at a couple of camps.
I'm trying to think.
And then I think we were over 200 this year.
Class.
And they've got 12 penciled in.
That would be right.
All on the East Coast.
All on the East Coast, all in the one area. Obviously, it's that big over there that you can run camps half an hour away from each other, and there'll be a completely different group of kids.
Yeah.
But no, it's been really good, and we're quite excited about where that could go.
No, it's cool. It's really good. Like, do you find the difference in the American kids to the Scottish kids?
Yeah,
big time.
Massive.
Obviously, football or soccer, it's not their main sport like it is over here, so they've maybe got 3 or 4 other sports. I remember one of them, one in the summer, there's a wee guy there that was wearing an NFL glove the whole week. So it is completely different. There is good players there, technical players. Don't think they're used to how physical, obviously what's like in Scotland. So that was a wee bit difficult to deal with when tackles were going in, and they were wanting free kicks, and
even the style of coaching that you guys are probably used to too.
Yeah.
With like some of the older kids, they won't be used to that.
But I think they enjoyed it, and I think that's what sets us different when we go across there.
Yep. No, it was speaking about like the goalie glove. I mind one of my first sessions, a boy showed up in like jeans with shin pads over the top, and I'm like, okay, this is where it just wouldn't happen here, eh?
Yeah.
Like it just wouldn't happen. So it's interesting dealing with like the different kids, the American kids to that. But that's really good, guys. Like that'll be really good. And do you do you just have like your staff here go out to do that stuff in the summer? And then obviously, I think you said your sorry, was it your friend, your brother? You said that was out there.
My brother as well.
Brother,
And my friend's obviously out there. He lives over there,
right.
so he's.
So do you have him kind of like maybe get some coaches for you, and he has like the folk that know that, or
There's I think there's a couple. There's a boy Kev Murphy out there who's excellent.
right?
He's a great guy, but we try and get as much Scottish coaches out there as possible because that's obviously our selling point. That it's UEFA licensed coaches that have played over here, and it's good for our staff as well to get that opportunity to be able to send them out there for a week, and you get a wee weekend in New York as well. So it's something that we want to build on more, especially for next year.
It's class. I never did the East Coast Day. I was just California the whole time, so I never got to really touch that. I think we were supposed to, the year COVID hit, we were supposed to do our first Nike ones on the East Coast, and obviously it all got botched with COVID, and I ended up moving home. So, that's really good. And there's, like I say, there's a big mark out there. They love it. They love it. Are the camp times is it similar? Do you guys keep it similar there, or does Nike kind of set the time? Nike set the time so that it's a bit longer, eh?
Longer,
Yeah.
hotter.
Yeah, hard. It's hard dealing with that. Put the sun cream on and getting the water in and that,
It's
man.
a different kind of skill than you have to.
It's
teamwork, it's communication, it's everything. It's like I'll tap you and you tap me in there.
Yeah.
Like, go and get your lunch for 20 minutes.
Yeah,
sit in the shade.
It's a long day.
Because you want to give. I think you've got to give the kids energy. You've got to give them enthusiasm, and you've got to drive off theirs as well. But it's tough. Like
It is.
It is really, really tough. I said that to you after the first year, right?
Yeah.
And the coaches here, and they quite believe like how tough. And I was saying that was the hardest week in my life.
Yeah.
Like doing all that and then private sessions on top of it.
Yeah.
And that I was never used. I've never been over there, so
you weren't used to it.
Oh, it was so tough.
We stopped doing we did private sessions after camps for the first year or two, and then we'd patched it. We're like, nah, like everyone's done at 3:00. All the coaches are zapped. Like, go home, relax. Like,
But then we've got travel teams out there as well. So we run travel teams that are off season as well. So you're then going to that session at 5:00. And Alan likes to work as hard when we go over. He gets the most out of us. Like, by the way, guys, just finish at 3. You can get something to eat at Mines, and then you're back out on the pitch at 5 till 8. So
it's a graft, eh? It's a graft.
It's mad. It's good though.
It's good.
Yeah,
exactly.
A lot of learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
I felt there was a lot of learning. Like I developed myself into a decent enough coach, and worked with a very similar stage of development over here.
Right.
And then when I went over to America, I was like, back to the start, and it was good. It was really good. And then Alan's actually brilliant. Like I've picked up loads of stuff for Alan. Obviously, he's been coaching over there for years, and I've stole loads of his stuff. Like
absolutely.
Loads of his ways of keeping kids engaged and maximising numbers and things like that. Like that's the way I looked at it. It was a week of learning.
Absolutely, and it's good. It's good as well to see like a different culture, a way of coaching. I know, like you maybe deem America to not be like soccer like they're not into, but like they're getting better like nationally. Like the national team does all right sometimes in the World Cups. Like they're built off of money, right? They pump money into it, so like at some point they're gonna be all right. And it's good to like get a different culture and just see how it is. And I remember it's one of the things I'm most grateful for is like where I was in Silicon Valley, so you had a lot of different cultures. So like just living there for 8 years was cool to see different stuff, right? And you pick things up, but also just like the different types of coaches that came. Like there was an Argentinian guy called Luciano Fusco, who's now I think the assistant at the San Jose Earthquakes, and he was just unbelievable. And it was just cool to see his different way of coaching as an Argentinian. Do you know what I mean? And just how he would go about things. Like you said, you just take the best bits from them, and
you're always learning, aren't you?
Yeah, you spin it. You can use your own. I can't do it how he does it, but I can try and spin it my own way. And you just learn so much. So no, that's absolutely class. Have you guys got a specific time you need to be away? By the way, just don't want to like be keeping you here.
No, I just need to check my parking. To be fair, but that,
don't need to get a ticket.
I've still got another wee while.
Okay, cool, right.
I could probably do another half an hour, I think.
Okay, cool, no worries. We'll be done before that, so that's fine. Wanted to just touch on a little bit with you, if it's all right for a bit, and then I'm gonna come to you on something as well, Ross. But one of my mates just asked if could maybe ask you about that whole kind of time at Arbroath under Dick Campbell. because that was a pretty interesting time period for them, right?
Yeah.
And having him as a manager. So, what was that like? Because that was that from Championship trying to get into the top level at the time?
I was from League Two.
League Two, sorry.
It was for League Two, aye.
Yeah.
So he came in my second season.
Mm-hmm.
My second season at Arbroath 5. First season was a disaster. I think we finished second bottom, maybe third bottom.
Right.
I had also got an injury that season as well. I had my ligament, so I was out for about 10 weeks, I think it was. The two guys that took me to the club, they got relieved of their duties, and then Dick Campbell came in maybe about the March time or something, February time.
Okay.
And we weren't great, to be honest with you. And then I remember we got beat. I think it was 4-0, 4-0 away to Elgin in the last game of the season. And he just it didn't really say much, to be fair. It didn't really get emotional. He just came and he was like, "Oh well, that's the season done. That's just beat. I'll not see a lot of yous again anyway." So I get yourselves changed, and we were just like what's going on here? And he's just started calling folk off the bus. It was just like,
oh really?
You'll not be here. You'll not be here.
Wow.
You'll not be here. And I think there was only 4 of us.
Wow.
That he kept, which is pretty ruthless. But he knows what he's doing. If you look at his Fife now, they're the top of the league. You know what I mean? He just beat Bonrigg 5-0 at the weekend. And when he spoke to me, I remember him speaking to me very clearly. Because I was shitting it on the bus. I had to move his newspaper for me to go and sit beside him. And I thought I was going to be one of them, see you later. But he says, "Look, I told you 10 weeks ago that I wanted you to stay. And that doesn't change, but you're not going to play." He's like, "You're not going to play much." He said, "I want 2 players for every position." I've already got 2 players coming in your position. So there's going to be 4 centre midfielders, like that kind of thing. And I was just quite lucky to still be getting a contract.
Yeah.
Probably. Because the team were terrible. We didn't do well. There was good players there, we just didn't do well. And then the next year, went into pre-season and the team was full of good players.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, holy shit, he has really stuck to his word, he knows his stuff. He had good contacts, he had been at Forfar before that. And he just took loads of old Forfar players and that. So it was, he was true to his word. There was going to be competition for places, but I kind of thrive in the situations. I always think I have the sink or swim situations, and I rose to it and played every week and we won the league. So that was the start of it.
Yeah.
After that, it was the next 5 years was just an upwards trajectory. We were finished 4th, I think it was, in League One. And then so we got into the playoffs. We got beat in the playoffs with Dumbarton, and that was a disaster for him. We were all, I was personally, I thought, wow, we've done really well here. I thought the jump would be huge from League 2 to League 1. Hadn't played League 1 before, and it was oh, this is going to be tough. Am I good enough? Questioning all that sort of stuff. He's obviously got loads of experience, managed in all the divisions, won all the divisions, I think. So he wasn't best pleased. He thought it was all right, but he wasn't convinced with a 4th place finish and again beating the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then the next year he signed again, top players, and we won it. Went up to the Championship, and again it was that similar feeling of right, we're in the Championship now, how are we going to fare, big clubs. And he wasn't just happy with that either. He wanted to just keep getting better and better and better, and you could see with the people he was signing, he always just signed the best players.
Yeah.
So it was good. It was really good. And then latterly in his spell, things became really tough.
Yeah. I can imagine when someone's that ruthless and things are going well, it works. But then when it starts to not, I'm sure you'll probably start to find, and maybe you will as well, Tranent stuff, it's like anything walking life. You make those decisions to be ruthless, and if they work, it's all great, right? As soon as it doesn't start to work, you lose, maybe folk start not being on your side as much, if that makes sense, because you're not winning and it's not working.
So what he did when he was looking back now, he was obviously right to do what he done because it all worked. Everything worked for him. But then when he recruited, So when he recruited for the whole of like his first full year and we won that league, those boys never really changed. He never really got rid of anyone. And he probably had a bigger task on his hand getting rid of people.
Right.
Because people didn't want to leave. You know what I mean? They wanted to be part. Everybody wanted to be part of it.
Got you.
So that's on him. He built that.
Yeah, that's mentally. I know it's you think management is just, show, do the tactics, show up on the day, set the team up, try and win the game, but it's so much more, eh? There's so much that goes into it. Building relationships, being ruthless, getting a group of guys on side. Like, do you think, I was thinking there when you were talking, I'm quite big on this when I was coaching, and too even when I'm playing, and I'm a Liverpool fan, so I think personified person this would be Klopp, but like momentum, like in life, but like sport and a football team, if you just get that momentum going and that wave, and like as a team when you step out on the pitch you feel it, don't you, and you kind of keep that going. It sounds like obviously that you guys got that massively.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
it's if you've been, I know you listened to a couple of my interviews, but if you listen to the ones that way back at the start 7 weeks ago when Hammy and I were asked to help the club out, it was the first thing I had to try and stop was over the last 2 seasons, 18 months for sure, it's been terrible. Like it's been defeat, and not all the time we've played terribly. I mean we weren't good, but even at times when you think we're in this game, it would take for you to concede one goal or one stupid mistake, and it would just be like capitulation. But it was like it could be 5-6, anything. And I think like that was a big thing for us. We had to stop that.
How did you? Or how are you, should I say?
Still trying to do it.
Yeah.
I'm only 7 games in.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I had to like sort of assess everything that was going on. Who do we have in the changing room? What are their strengths? Who's available to go and play? Because we were riddled with injuries as well. And who can I trust?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was the first couple of things. And what are we comfortable with as managers? So we did that. We looked at the changing room. We thought, right, we've got this, and this. What's the best system for these guys to go and get success? So we put that system in, and then we worked within that system to the strengths of key individuals. And that's exactly how we've tried. It's no rocket science, like.
No, it's not.
It's nothing really to do with me. I've just kind of provided a platform.
Yeah.
It's the boys that have like put in the hard yards. They're the ones that are working hard. It's not really
I get you.
me or Colin.
No, I get you. I spot on, mate. I think you'll both agree. Like, obviously, both players and watch it and love it. And I'm never played or managed anywhere close to the level you guys are, but been involved in football all my life. Feel like I've got a good read for the game, but it's not rocket science. Like, who have you got? What are their strengths, right? And again, I'm maybe going to like a high level, but I'm simplifying it a little bit. But again, with like Liverpool, like getting Liverpool back to where they are now with Klopp, and it was like you had guys like Jordan Henderson that weren't maybe really that highly rated, but like what's he good at? And I'm simplifying completely, but he'll fucking run around all game for you, and he'll be your captain, he'll be your leader, and he'll win the ball, and he understands his position in the team. He knows he's not Salah. Get the ball, give it to him. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not. I know there's lots of little details that go into that. Don't get me wrong, but it's not overly complicated. And I think when you're a player too, and you put someone in a position where that's where they're good at, and you're asking them to do things that they're good at, and then they, in the game now all of a sudden they're completing 10 passes and not giving the ball away, then the confidence goes and the belief in what you're telling them grows, and then all of a sudden, right, you might lose a couple of games to start with.
There's trust in it, and now you can actually say, right, let's try something new that you've not done.
Exactly.
You've already built that wee bit of trust.
Exactly.
That's what. On the way here, actually, I've just phoned 2 of my players, speaking about the game at the weekend, and I try and do that quite regularly.
Yeah,
so
good.
I pick different players every week.
Yeah.
And I'll have a chat with them, and we'll talk through how I think they did, what they did well, and what I would like to add to their game, and how I'm going to try and add that to their game. But I need the buy-in for them as well. But the only way I get that buy-in is building that trust.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and unfortunately, like all those things we said, and then there does come a moment where you do need to start winning, right? Because if you're not,
winning's hugely important.
It fades, doesn't it?
At our level,
Yeah.
at our level,
Yeah,
massive.
Yeah.
I just went I told you about the town of Arbroath. Like,
Yeah.
they've not been used to getting beat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for 7 years of my career up there.
Yeah.
6.
Mm-hmm.
It's been win. Like, doing really well for a part-time team anyway. And a town the size of Arbroath, like, things have been really good.
Mm-hmm.
So when stuff like that happens, like, it becomes pretty toxic. Like,
Aye, I can imagine.
and like, I see loads of it on social media because we've got the business up there. So there's a lot of people that are now just like fan to player or fan to manager relationship. Like, I do a lot for their kids up there, and they come to the coaching and things like that. So they're good that they didn't even talk about football sometimes.
Yes.
Like, so when I go up there with Gold and Grey just to coach,
that's it. Yeah.
it's me as a person. It's no David Gold for the club.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it means I see it on social media. Do you know what I mean? On like Facebook and things like that. So, it's tough. Like,
yeah, I can imagine that'll be something you'll have to just deal with, and you'll probably work your own way out. Maybe don't even get to a point where you don't even.
I try and stay off it at all, but I do think that, like, for our business, I think social media is good, and I think
absolutely,
being present on social media helps with the whole brand and the whole academy.
Yeah, of course.
And I throw quite a lot of content and stuff like that out on social media, which I think in return really helps a lot of this stuff. So I can't actually get away from it completely.
Yeah,
I would love to. See, in an ideal world, I'd love to just come right off it completely.
Yeah.
I would, but unfortunately,
I know
we've got a business to run.
I know. I'm the same too. Obviously, I need social media to put this out, right? But like, I have weekends where I'm like, just delete it all. I'm just like barely even go on my phone. And folk, it's funny when you do that. Folk are like, "You all right?" Like, are you all right? Like, what? Because I just deleted it for the weekend. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I'm like, just because you delete social media for the weekend, everyone's like, "Are you all right?" I'm like, I just don't want to be on my phone this weekend. Like, I want to be doing whatever I'm doing. But anyway, But I think that's really good, man. Like, I think you'll probably both. The thing I liked about that most of you said there is that, see, these days, and you see it at every level, like this dedication to playing a specific way and like playing out the back and opening up, you know what I mean, all that stuff. And look, if I coach the team, I'd like my team to somewhat play in that certain style. But you see some games, and even at certain levels, and you're looking around and you're like, you just don't have the players to do that. Yeah. Like, it's all right just to like have your keeper kick it and like win the second ball and play from there. Like, so it's good to hear that you're not necessarily going in with an idea of, right now anyway, might grow, of right, we're gonna knock it around and this is what we're gonna do. You're looking and saying, what do we have and what are we good at, and that's what we're gonna do. And then as you progress, maybe as a manager, as a coach, you probably have your own ideas, and then you can start to pull players in, like you said Dick did, because the reason he's probably it's obvious. The reason he's pulling those guys over from where he is because he knows they can do what he's been asked them to do, right?
But he used to always say, "Good players attract good players."
Yeah,
that was his thing.
Yeah,
like he would always say that. Like that was one of his quotes. He would like set you up. You were organised. You knew exactly what to do. You would go and win games, and then people want to be part of that. And so that's what he would just sign really good players for all the other teams.
That's it. Not difficult, is it?
He used to just say it's that easy, it's that simple. He used to just say like his biggest power was his power of selection. Yeah. Like that was his thing. Like,
and then like you think that just because you've got good players, of course that helps, but then it's about keeping them hungry and like working with them. Like it's a different type of job then, right? Like people always say that about like Pep, right? Like, well, he always has the best players, he's been at the best clubs, and it's like, sure, but you still got to make them be a team and be as hungry as they are and win and do all that stuff, you know?
I think it's not just good players, it's good people.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
He's been in a great dressing room. I was in a great dressing room at Bordereg, so it's not just signing the best players. The players need to fit who's in that dressing room. Yeah. And if they don't, they can quickly find themselves out that dressing room, and you don't, as I say, it's a harsh term to call it, probably bad eggs, but you can find that in a dressing room, and when things aren't going great, they're the ones that can start to have a negative impact. So again, I don't think it's just necessarily signing good players, it's signing good players that are good people as well.
Yeah, the right people.
Yeah.
That's massive. What for you when you played? Like, what was your? You mentioned Bonnyrigg a couple of times. Was that your probably favourite /
Yeah, obviously I was there
environment?
for 7 years, and
Right.
we managed to work our way through the leagues and win the playoffs and
Yeah.
go into League Two. But we were the same. We had the same sort of core that was there from the start right through at the end with the same manager. So it was a really good place to be.
Yeah, that was probably the best you've been
Yeah.
at. And then you've gone. So you've been Livy, Bonnyrigg, Tranent.
Yeah.
Anywhere else?
I think it was probably
A few,
Berwick.
right,
I was at
Berwick.
Berwick. Obviously, I had a
Selkirk.
6 month stint at Selkirk. That
When was that?
so Spartans for 6 months.
When was it
Clubs
Selkirk?
at the
It
time.
was a bit of a journeyman.
Yeah.
Selkirk was when I left Berwick initially, and
Wait.
that's when Gary O'Connor was there.
Okay. Did you play with Darryl Burdett? Nah.
Did I?
I'm sure you did.
Darryl Burdett.
Because you played with Gainey, didn't you?
No.
Yeah, Gainey was there as well. and
Gainey was there.
Darryl was there too.
Darryl used to sell the
Aye.
things that would paint the lines, eh?
Yeah.
What are they called again?
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's exactly.
You did, eh?
Yeah.
That was a strange few months. It was silly on my part. You get offered these things, but
Yeah.
look,
Yeah.
it's time for this, and we'll give you this on the side. And
Yeah.
you're young, you're naive, and you think you're going to get that, and
You don't.
you don't. And it got to Christmas time, and you've not received anything for a few months. And
Yeah.
people were pulling out, and I was like, I need to get out of here.
Mhm.
Went to Spartans for 6 months. Really enjoyed my time there.
Mm.
And then signed for Bonnyrigg with Robbie Horn. I'd worked with him at Berwick,
Oh,
he was
yeah.
assistant manager. So, and my wee brother had been there. A few of the boys that I'd played with had been there. So, it was on my doorstep. I thought that'd be
Yeah.
a good club to go to.
Class.
And that was when we were in the juniors, swapped over to East of Scotland, Lowland, and then won the playoffs a couple of years ago against Cowdenbeath.
Oh, decent, man. Decent. You boys have had a good some life, like when you think about it. I know you had your jobs in between that you were working. Obviously now, unfortunately, you don't. But when you've got to literally be involved with football the whole life.
And I think that's what we say to our young kids. Like,
Yeah.
we're not saying that you're going to make it
Mm-hmm.
as a professional and get to the top level, but we can get you to the best of your ability. And there are levels there that you can go and play and get paid for playing football and enjoy it. And I think that's the main thing for us.
Absolutely. I think we kind of finish on this note so I can let you guys go. But I think that's a big thing. Like, folk always look at that like top level and whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
And that's just a little slither of things, right? There's so much in between there that you can make a career off or make a living off doing that and find your own way within that. You don't need to be playing for Celtic Rangers or go to England or whatever. You don't need to. There's ways to find it. So that's really good. Good chat. I enjoyed that. I think we've covered most of what I thought and more. Is there anything you guys wanted to mention about anything maybe Golden Grey related that I haven't touched on or?
No, not really. If for anybody that wants to, who doesn't maybe know who Golden Grey is, they can go and check us out on every social media platform.
Yep.
Whether that be TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
They can go and check us out. We're very easily contacted. Come along, give it a try. Whether that be our academy classes or private sessions, or we've got October camps coming around the corner. So, as we said earlier on in the podcast, like it's genuinely a place for everyone. And the way we usually work it is, any kid that comes in, we try and get a quick assessment of them.
Mm-hmm.
All the coaches do that, and then all the coaches go back and talk and say, right, we've got this kid here. This kid's at probably this stage. Where can we best accommodate this kid?
Yeah.
To find the best group for them. So it's fun but challenging them at the same time, because we are about player development, and we want kids to come in and enjoy themselves, but get better.
Yeah, of course, finding that balance. And it's all just Golden Grey Soccer Academy on that's like the handle on all the Instagram and TikTok and stuff.
Yeah.
I'll tag it all and all that stuff in that. So, no, I appreciate it, lads. I really did enjoy that. I could talk about football all day. Honestly, I could sit here for hours and hear more stories and that. But I know you've got businesses to run and teams to coach and kids and all that. So, I'll let you go. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No, thanks for having us.
No problem.
Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers, boys. Thank you. Appreciate that.